Gillian, let's talk about Eleanor Roosevelt. She really was our first true social activist in her own right as a first lady. And I think every first lady has since then been measured to some degree against Eleanor Roosevelt. But as you portray her, she had a very complicated personal life, an unfaithful husband, an overbearing mother-in-law. She was, I think you could say, a fairly unenthusiastic about motherhood. So how do you take all of these things and weave them into this person who became truly the conscience of her husband's presidency? In fact, she was the legs that Franklin Roosevelt didn't have. She could get out around the country and see the problems in ways that he couldn't.
Well, I think, on the one hand, all of that is woven together for us between the, in the scripts and during the editing process, which I know had changed and undulated from beginning to end. And where we see Eleanor, we go back in time at one point and we see a little bit of her childhood. And so much of what took place in her childhood influenced who she became later on. And there was so much sadness and so much trauma, growing up with a mother who put her down constantly and who told her that she was ugly and she wouldn't amount to anything, and then a mother and a father dying when she was 8 and 10, and growing up under the care of a grandmother who didn't really care for her, and she didn't have it easy, and yet what her childhood was about and how she grew out of that swamp of sadness made her so sensitive and compassionate to the underdog and to the underprivileged, and to, even though she was a Roosevelt, where her mind was and where she felt her duty was about, and where she felt the most joy was in being of service to every man, to every woman, to every human being who did not have the privileges that she had. And her entire life she gave over to being of service in that way. And so she was that young woman. She was that woman even before before Franklin was president, and she found a way to turn the role of First Lady into exactly what she needed it to be in order to be the woman that she wanted to be, and that woman was, she wrote 24 books, and she had a radio show every single day and a My Day column every day, and was so unbelievably active and in the civil rights movement, and did work for soldiers, and I mean she was everywhere, and for everyone. And to even imagine that one could live up even in the tiniest little way to this extraordinary woman is just, it feels unfathomable, and yes, she had 5 children, but she had 5 children who, she did struggle with motherhood, and her first love was being of service. And